Peace, ladies. Welcome back to the Modern Goddess channel. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to communicate with a masculine man, specifically in those moments of conflict and when there's a disagreement and things get a little bit heated. A lot of us do not know how to remain in our feminine energy when we get upset, okay? A lot of us do not know how to express how we feel without giving a very aggressive and sometimes a condescending, somewhat even disrespectful tone, and we don't even realize we're doing it. A lot of us do not know how to listen to a man express himself without us feeling like we're being attacked, okay? And when we feel like that, that's when that defense comes out and we start being very combative and very argumentative. A lot of times we get in the lawyer mode and get very competitive. Sorry, there are cars going by. So that is what this video is going to be about. It is going to be about the 10 key feminine traits that are necessary for effective communication. You know, to have a feminine approach to effective communication with a masculine man, okay? So before I get started, ladies, there are 3 things that I want you to keep in mind throughout the duration of this video. The first thing I want you to keep in mind is that you need to be very patient with your man throughout this entire process of you tuning more into your feminine when it comes to this. The reason why I say this is because not only is this going to be new to you, I mean, like responding to things in a feminine way, that's new to you, but it's also going to be new to him, not just through you, but through women in general. Most women nowadays do not know how to deal with conflict in a feminine manner. Most women get very defensive and combative and argumentative, or they just shut down and, you know, don't really know how to communicate very well. So it's going to be new to him. Plus, the history that the two of you have together, if your history is you fussing with him and yelling and raising your voice and cutting him off, if that's the history that the two of you have, then he might be in somewhat disbelief when you start responding in a feminine manner, and so he might feel like it's not really coming from a genuine place, okay? So you're going to have to be patient with him because it's new, and with that patience, you need to make sure you are consistent, okay? Don't just try to be feminine with your approach once or twice and you don't get the response you want from him, and then you're like, okay, well, this isn't working, I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing. You need to be patient with him and you need to be consistent with this, okay? The second thing that you want to keep in mind throughout the duration of this video is that you need to make sure the timing is okay. You know, check with him before you bring any of the issues to him. Check with him and make sure his energy is okay. Make sure he's in a good mood. Make sure he doesn't have something else on his mind. Make sure he's not already frustrated, okay? Because what happens is when you come to him to have a certain conversation, to express something, get something off of your chest, you're really just presenting another problem to him. It doesn't make a difference how feminine you say it. It's still another problem that you're adding to whatever problems that he already has. You know, whatever thoughts, negative thoughts he already has, whatever issues that he's already dealing with, you're just adding to that. And in those moments when he's dealing with those type of issues and things, that is when you want to step up and be affectionate and encouraging and supportive and, you know, making sure that that energy is okay. So make sure the timing is okay. Make sure he's okay first, and then you present whatever it is you have to say in a feminine manner. And the last thing that you want to keep in mind throughout the remainder of this video, ladies, is that the same circumstances that cause women to be overly masculine nowadays are the same circumstances that cause many men to be emasculated nowadays. And the reason why this is relevant is because there are so many women that come to me beating their brains out, trying to understand why them trying to be feminine isn't really working with the man that they're in a relationship with. And you have to understand that masculinity responds to femininity and vice versa. So if you're in your feminine and you're not getting a great response from him, meaning you're trying to communicate in a feminine manner and he's still yelling and screaming and being extremely overly aggressive with you, then you have to understand that it's very possible that he might have been raised by a woman that communicated like that. Men that did not have a masculine role model to teach them how to communicate like men oftentimes communicate like an overly masculine woman would communicate. You know what I mean? So if you're dealing with a man that doesn't know how to communicate like a man, then that's not your fault. That's something that he's going to have to learn how to do on his own. Okay, so these are just 3 reasons why you might not get the best response, even if you are in your feminine. Okay, so I just want you to keep that in mind, and let's get into it. Okay, so the first key feminine trait that you want to make sure you tap into, ladies, when it comes to communicating with masculine men is vulnerability. Okay, when you are vulnerable, you are open, you are transparent, and when you are open and transparent, you are giving him access in to your feelings. You are letting him in. The guard is down, the walls are down. Masculine men do not want to have to fight against this wall and these defense mechanisms. They don't want you to have a shield up trying to keep them out. Okay, they want to know that you trust them and that you feel comfortable and safe with them. And so if you do, you need to be vulnerable with your feelings. We're not doing any more of that I don't care, it is what it is, or whatever, I ain't even worrying about it. If you really truly are upset about something, if you're in your feelings about that, express that to him and be open and honest. Okay, you're open about your feelings, about your experiences, about your flaws, about your mistakes. You're open about all of that. All of that comes with being vulnerable. And ladies, keep this in mind also. When you do go to express how you feel to a masculine man, you never want to start it off with what he's doing wrong. You never want to start it off with you did this wrong, or you don't ever do this, or you always doing that, or you're being rude, or you're being disrespectful, or I don't like that you're doing this. You don't want to start it off like that, because he'll hear you, but he's really not going to hear you. You get what I mean? Like, he's not going to hear anything else you say after you just told him he was doing something wrong. Okay? You want to start it off with how you feel. We learned this in elementary school. You started off with I feel, and the reason for that is because when it comes to femininity, your feelings is that they are a priority. What is within your inner peace, that is a priority. Okay, that's why it's called femininity, within. Okay, so you want to make sure that everything that's going on in here is addressed first. So you want to start off with I feel whatever, and identify your feelings. Make sure you're putting words with that. Don't jump straight to anger. Okay? If you're feeling insecure, you're feeling insecure. You're feeling hurt, you're feeling hurt. If you're feeling humiliated, you're feeling humiliated. You need to start off with that. I feel insecure about this because you're doing such and such. That's when you add it in there. Okay? Or I'm feeling a little hurt by the way that you are talking to me right now and you're raising your voice, and I really don't feel like I deserve that. You know, there are ways that you can communicate it without being forceful and just jumping straight into it, telling him what he's doing wrong. Okay, so be vulnerable with your feelings, identify your feelings, and express it that way. Okay, so the second feminine trait that you want to tap into, ladies, is softness. Now, I talked about this in a couple of other videos. This does not just mean making sure you have a soft tone of voice. That is important, but you want to make sure that your energy within itself is calm. You want to make sure that your energy within itself is soft and gentle. Okay, so with this, I want you to think about like a beast, or like a ticking time bomb. Yes, I like to think of masculine men, especially when they get upset. I think of them kind of like beast. Okay, so like Beauty and the Beast. I call myself Beast. Beauty and the Beast. So when they get upset, think of them like a beast. Okay, now when a beast is in front of you, you have a few options. You can either bow down to the beast and be all scared and timid, or run away from it and not address the issue. Or you can try to fight the beast, and for sure will lose, because you would never be able to reach the level of masculinity that he can. Or you could tame the beast, okay, and get it to a point where it will, itself will calm down. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you go into the woods and you see a beast. Okay, if you're really forceful and you're quick and you're reacting all sudden, you're going to startle the beast, and it will either do one of two things. It will either run away from you, and the equivalent of a masculine man running away is him just saying, he's shutting you out, him saying, okay, I don't want to communicate with you anymore, I'm done with you, I'm not dealing with this anymore. He's not going to want to give you the time of day as far as expressing himself to you. He's not going to try to communicate with you anymore. You don't want that. Okay, or if you startle it, it will charge. It will attack you. It will come straight for you. And that would be the equivalent of a masculine man saying, okay, so this is the energy you want to give me. Okay, I'm going to give it right back to you to show you who's the man in this situation. Okay, and that's when, you don't want that either, because that's going to lead to you feeling, oh, he's using toxic masculinity, and you don't want to think that about your man. Okay, and so what you want to do is you would want to ease up on it. Okay, you would either ease your way away from the beast in a very gentle, soft manner, so that you could come back and address it later when he's calm, or you can just ease up on him in a very gentle, soft way and approach him to get close enough to where you can tame him and pat him and caress him. Okay, and the same with the ticking time bomb, because ticking time bomb that you're trying to disarm, you're not going to be all fast and hectic with it. You're going to take your time, and you're going to be soft and gentle and make all of the right moves. Okay, that is what you need to do when talking to a masculine man that is somewhat upset. You want to make sure that you keep your energy nice and soft and gentle. You don't want to startle him. You don't want to get him all worked up. You don't want to run him away. You don't want him to attack. You just want him to remain calm. This lets him know that you are in control of your emotions and that you don't want to fight. The third feminine trait that you want to tap into, ladies, is sensuality. Okay, now with this one, this does not mean that you need to try to seduce your man to get out of a conversation. This does not mean that you need to try to manipulate him through sex or anything. Through sensuality, it deals with the 5 physical senses, and usually when we think about being sensual, we think about pleasing our own 5 senses, which is very important. However, when it comes to masculine men, it is great to try to satisfy some of his senses in the midst of these conversations when there's like conflict, because it helps him to remember, okay, she's not upset with me, this is just a simple conversation. Okay, so what this means is you can gently touch him. Okay, that's the sense of touch. Simply touch him, rub on his back, give him a nice back rub or something while you are trying to express whatever it is you're trying to express, or make him a nice meal, make him one of his favorite meals, and while he's eating it and satisfying that sense of taste, then you have that conversation. Most men are not going to like slap the food out of off the table and be like, oh no, I don't want to have this conversation, I don't want to eat this food, or no, get off of me, don't give me a massage, I don't want to have this conversation. Most men are not going to do that. Most of them will sit there and enjoy being satisfied with your sensuality, and will be more than happy to continue on with that conversation. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are bringing sensuality into it. So number 4, ladies, much like softness, is ease. Okay, you want to make sure that you are at ease and that you are relaxed when you're having these type of conversations. Okay, so if you find that you are jittery and you're shaking and you're tapping on things and you're fidgeting with things, then that means that you are anxious in that moment. You are not at ease. You are not in your feminine. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to slow down. Start making slow movements. You might want to take a few deep breaths. Make sure that you are at ease, and even if you need to slow down your words some, that's fine too. Okay, so if you need to say, King, I understand that you're upset, but blah 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 blah. Okay, make sure that you are calm and relaxed when you're having these conversations. If you get to the point again where you're shaking and you're tapping on stuff, your fingers and your hands are moving and you're all over the place, you're not at ease. Okay, calm yourself down. One of the things, aside from taking deep breaths, is really just caressing yourself, like really just kind of rub yourself to calm yourself down. If you need to just say to him, King, I want to just take a quick second to get my energy right so this can be a productive conversation. If you just step away, take a sip of water, do whatever you need to do real quick to ease yourself, be calm, and then come back and have that conversation. Okay, because if your energy is all over the place, he is going to feel that, he is going to sense that, and he is going to feel attacked. If you start being in that masculine mode, this alone just lets him see that you're upset, you're angry, and you're not even saying anything, but this is just this anxious energy just shows him that you're upset. And him knowing that you're upset or angry is going to cause him to be like, okay, now she's angry, now she's frustrated, now she's mad, and it could cause him to be even more upset with you. So you want to avoid that. Number 5, ladies, I've talked about this in another video, and that is surrender. With surrender, that means you're just throwing your hands up and you're basically letting him know that you do not want to fight. When you're surrendering, you are releasing all combative energy, all argumentative energy. You're releasing the need to be in control of that situation, okay? So you are surrendering. You say, okay, you know what? I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I don't want to fight, okay? So you want to make sure that you tap into that energy. If you realize that the conversation isn't going anywhere, you're yelling over top of each other, you're not being heard, you don't feel like you're really hearing him, it's not a productive or conducive conversation. When you realize that that's what's happening, you stop, you be quiet, you throw your hands up, you can lean back, you can take a couple of steps back, just insinuate or display to him that you no longer want to argue. Don't do it in a nasty way. Don't do it like that. When you're surrendering, you're doing it in a soft and gentle way, okay? Okay, I don't want to fight anymore, okay? That does not mean that you're wrong and he's right, okay? That does not mean that that everything that you're saying is incorrect and that your feelings are invalid. That doesn't mean that. That just means you don't want to argue anymore, and you care more about peace than you care about being right in that moment, okay? Number 6 is going to be either collaboration or cooperation. You can choose which words you want to go by. They both have a very similar meaning, and with this, all that means is that two people are working together. You're working with someone to come up with a solution. You're working with someone in order to come up with a common goal, okay? And so the goal is to come up with a solution to whatever problem you all are having at that time, okay? Make sure you bring collaboration and cooperation into the conversations when dealing with a masculine man. Otherwise, you're going to bring a very combative and a very competitive energy into this conversation, and that does not work with masculine men. You are going to lose. So don't even try it. Make sure you are letting him know that you want to solve this. You don't want to argue anymore. Like I said, you're surrendering. And you can actually just say to him, King, I am open to listening to whatever solution you have to this problem, okay? I really don't want to argue anymore. What can we do to fix this? Okay, and just let him tell you what role you can play in fixing this. Don't feel like you have to always step up and be the one that comes up with the solutions. Don't be the one to feel like you always have to tell him what he can do to fix things. Let him be the man, okay? Surrender the need to be in control of everything. Just fall back, let him be the man, and let him be the leader of the team, okay? And you just cooperate and you be collaborative and you work together to come up with a solution. Number 7, ladies, I've talked about on this channel before, and that is being present, okay? When you are in your feminine, you are present. You are there. You are in the moment. You are absorbing everything that is within that atmosphere. You are attentive to what he is saying. You are receiving his energy. You're receiving his words, okay? You're present. You're there in the moment. You're not thinking about something else that's happening in the future. You're not thinking about the past. You're present. Okay, you're here in the moment. All right, that means that you don't need to have a phone in your hand. Okay, you don't need to be looking at what other people are doing over there. You don't need to be bringing up things that happened 2 years ago. You don't need to be talking about what you imagine, some scenario in your mind that you think could possibly happen a year from now or in the future. You're present. You're in the moment, and that is where he is, and that's what you need to do when dealing with a masculine man. He doesn't want to hear about the past all the time. If, regardless of what happened in the past in your relationship, you made a decision to work it out and stay together, so that means you forgave him, which is another feminine trait that you always want to bring in, forgiveness, okay? And so whatever it is, don't keep bringing it up. Because if you can't get over it, then y'all don't need to be together anymore, okay? Those things can really upset masculine men, okay? Because you're not really paying attention to what he's saying now. You're not really trying to solve the issue at hand. You're not really focused on what is going on in the moment, okay? So you want to make sure that you are being present. You want to make sure that you're attentive, you're making eye contact, okay? You want to make sure that your body is facing his. You want to make sure that you're letting him know that you're actually listening and you're hearing what he is saying, okay? You can paraphrase some of the things he's saying so he can know that you actually heard him. You can nod your head or whatever. Just make sure he knows that you're present, you're there with him. He has your undivided attention. Now, the last three, ladies, kind of go hand in hand, but they're all a little bit differently. One of them is understanding. When you understand something, you're able to really comprehend what someone is saying without bringing in bias or blame. So you're listening to really truly understand. You're not listening for fault. You're not listening to hear that he's wrong or that you're wrong. You're listening because you genuinely want to understand what it is he's saying. And I have realized more so recently, as of recent, that a lot of people have issues with comprehension, and it's very important. So something that you can do to help with that, if you feel like you have issues with comprehension, you just need to practice your communication skills. Actually practice talking to people, having real conversations. Read more, okay? Read more, not just stuff on social media. Like, actually go and read and really try to improve and elevate your mind some so that you can really understand what he is saying and you won't be misinterpreting things, okay? So comprehension is very important. So understanding, you want to bring that into it. Again, without bias, without blame, without looking for fault. The next one, which is very similar to understanding, is empathy. You want to bring that trait when you are dealing with masculine men, because sometimes masculine men have an issue with really vocalizing and verbalizing what the issue is. Sometimes they can sound like drill sergeants when they're trying to express how they feel. Sometimes their expression of how they feel, sometimes it comes off like they're giving orders or ultimatums, and oftentimes that's really not what they're doing. They're trying to tell you that something you said or did bothered them, but they don't want to say, I feel like this, or you hurt my feelings, or I feel insecure about this. Most of them are not going to say that, so they're more so going to tell you what they don't like that you did, or that they have an issue of something that you did, okay? And so you want to make sure that you don't just understand. You want to bring empathy so that you can actually feel it, because if you're just listening, you're going to miss it. You have to be able to feel what he is feeling. So if you can feel the insecurity, you can feel the humility, if you can feel the pain, if you can feel the hurt, you can feel the anger, you can feel the sadness, that is important. You want to be able to feel that so that you won't be misinterpreting his energy. You won't be misinterpreting his words, okay? You'll really be able to understand and feel what it is he is saying. And the last one, number 10, is compassion. You want to bring that into conversations with masculine men. Reason being is because with understanding, that's one thing. With empathy, that's another thing. But not everyone that is empathetic actually has a desire to do something about that feeling. A lot of people that are empathetic, sometimes they don't want to feel that. They don't want to feel that energy. They don't want to feel sad just because you're sad. They don't want to feel angry just because you're angry. So they'll actually sometimes run from communication. They'll actually try to isolate themselves and avoid these tough conversations so they don't have to feel the energy from others, okay? They absorb that. So with compassion, you don't just feel it. You're actually concerned about his feelings. I said before that how you feel is a priority, your inner peace. You want to make sure that you also prioritize his feelings as well. And that comes with compassion. You not just understand, you don't just feel, but you're concerned and you care about it and you want to do something about it, okay? That is when you bring that affection. That's when you bring that love out and you let him know, look, I hear you, I feel you, and I care, okay? And I'm going to put in an effort to make a difference, okay? So you want to make sure you're bringing that. Now, ladies, if you do all 10 of these things that I just listed, and you're bringing all of these 10 feminine traits into communication with masculine men, and it's still not working, then your response then should be silence. That's it. Silence, okay? When it gets to the point where you're heated, the conversation is just gotten out of hand, it's gone out of control, and he's just all hysterical and yelling and doing everything, you say nothing, okay? Don't give him any energy. You just sit there in silence, okay? That is going to be your response. Eventually, he will see that you're not giving it any energy. Eventually, he will realize that he's just yelling and screaming, looking foolish, and he'll stop. You know what I mean? Or if he realizes that you're not arguing and you're just sitting there, he might come to you and be like, look, he might calm himself down and say like, look, okay, I apologize. I got out of, I got out of hand. I got out of control. A lot of times that will cause a man to realize himself what he did when you're not talking so much. Sometimes men just need a little bit of silence. Sometimes they need time and space to get themselves together as well, okay? And your silence helps with that, okay? Let your silence be your response sometimes. It's okay. That does not mean that does not mean that he is right and you're wrong. That just means that you are in control of your emotions, and that just means you have wisdom and you know the power of your silence, okay? And so that's it. These are 10 feminine key traits that you want to tap into when communicating with masculine men. I hope this helps, ladies. And make sure that you go and check out my website, saralinacoaching.com, for lots more free feminine tips and feminine advice and information. Okay? Peace and much love.